like to tell the story of Snowdrop. She was hung in a tree, a cedar tree, after she had been crafted. And her skin was loose. And she held the promise of something that might just come through what is frozen. And I hung her in the cedar tree on the longest night. Because I wanted to gather that energy. I wanted that energy of the longest night to be part of her song. And so I hung her in the tree. And then at dawn, I cut her down. And I brought her into the house. And I wept. Because she was grief-soaked and warped and loose and floppy. And I immediately felt that I had done something wrong. That who am I to try to make a First Nations drum that would have a song that I could use to sing, a song that wasn't even born in me yet. And so I took this drum and my grief, and I pulled the covers over my head, and I held her against my belly, and I wailed. And then I fell asleep. And there was no dream. But what happened in that sleeping place when I turned out, the guilt and the sense of failure and the grief and that the warmth of my body and the warmth of those covers that I pulled over my head created some kind of an incubator. And when I woke up a few hours later, she was taut and she was tight, and she was not stillborn. She had somehow pushed her way through what was frozen and showed that there might be a song in her. That's part of the story. The other part of the story is that she was named after an aunt whose name I never knew. And that the story of that aunt came to me in my dreams when I first started my Jungian analysis. And these stories came from dreams, and I gave those dreams attention, and I let the story come. And so I told the story of my aunt who had been stillborn in a logger's cabin in the woods of Quebec near my mother's homeland, at least one of them. And so when those stories came, I didn't know where they came from. But I also knew that they didn't belong in the analyst's office, that they needed a place where they could just be what they were. And so what I did with those stories is I called them the ancient ones. And the story named this aunt of mine and named her Snowdrop. And so the drum was named because of the gift of that story. And it was through that story that my mother and I have begun the reclamation of some of her heritage and some of my heritage. But there is so much more work to do. And it feels today like until I can reclaim those parts that are unknown and are perhaps not exotic and easy for me to hold, that then maybe the song will deepen, and that some of those things that Snowdrop gathered on that longest night will be added to the song. So, gentlemen, you gave me the space to open and to offer a story and a song and a beginning.